Our tone of voice is setting up a trajectory for where this conversation is going.
During the first 1 to 3 minutes of our conversation, it actually determines how it's going to turn out. And so if we can use a soft startup instead of a harsh one, we're more likely to be heard. And isn't that our goal? And so if we can set up something that doesn't feel harsh or doesn't feel sassy, doesn't feel unloving or disrespectful in the tone, we actually increase our chances that we'll be heard.
We have unresolved conflict. Many times the first thing that shows up is a bad tone of voice. And for men, it comes across as being harsh.
If he's got some frustration or anger in his heart, it's going to show in his tone. And it feels harsh and it feels aggressive to the female ears.
We need to be open to be able to hear what's my spouse's perspective on the way I'm coming across. Yeah, it's probably not going to sound harsh to me, but to the hearer, it probably does.
We could make our spouse aware. Would you please soften your tone for me? That doesn't come across as threatening or blaming. It's just a simple request.
If you become defensive, though, and say, I don't have a tone, or you need to be able to hear it, then we're not being open to communicating in the way that our spouse is going to receive it.
So if we control our tone, we're more likely to be able to talk through and be heard. Has your husband ever had a problem with your tone? It probably escalates him. And ladies, guess what? Our tone can sound sassy or disrespectful.
When we notice that our spouse has a tone of voice that's kind of get under the skin, we need to make them aware. Sometimes we need to be more self-aware so that we can even let them know it's happening.
Well, our spouse can say to us, would you please be careful about your tone? And we can watch that and we can soften it. If we don't choose to respond by changing it, we're really choosing to possibly escalate this conversation or cause our spouse to withdraw.
Sometimes it may just be something like, hey, would you turn down the intensity? That's feeling kind of intense for me right now. Our spouse probably doesn't even realize they're doing. Keep the hearer open to our message. And if we're shutting them down from the get-go, we're not going to get very far with communicating our message.